Gemini 7, an old-fashioned well. Nature is abundant and gives what we need. It gives water. Under our feet there is a supply of water, which is constantly replenished through rain. It's a very simple truth, isn't it? But it's worth thinking about. We can do the same with food, and actually all that we need is there in nature. If we were to trust this, our lives would be much more relaxed, much easier. We just do the necessary work to receive from nature what is offered, and that's okay. Now, people living in certain warm countries had the joy of being able to just pick fruit off the trees, and that was it. That was their day's work done, picking their fruit. In certain climates you can do that. Those of us who ancestrally who moved away from the subtropical realms into the areas which do not provide food so easily, we took it upon ourselves to do work to claim our food. But it never became necessary to do an excessive amount of work to survive until greed took over. It is the greedy that makes the rest of us have to work hard for our living. Nature itself is not the culprit here. Even the hunter-gatherers, it's said in research, they didn't do that amount of work. They went out and gathered their food and hunted now and again. And then they had an easy time until it was time to go in and get some more food. It wasn't as hard as we perhaps paint the story. And nature is available to us, even in today's greedy world where ambitious people have threatened our survival without being a part of the system. If we go back to nature, we can reclaim what is otherwise likely to be lost. And I think the image of an old-fashioned well shows you that the fundamentals in life, water, are just there for the taking, provided you're sensible. We need to be able to access common sense if we're to claim this abundance. If we look more deeply into this as a metaphor, we can add the understanding that this is the case with ourselves. We have our own nature, and we also can give freely without fear of ever losing enough to give. Whatever we give is returned to us. So if somebody comes to you and they need some help, we can serve them. If somebody comes to you and they need some food, we can give some food, and so on. So we can employ an attitude of sharing and being open and giving generally as a life policy, in the certainty that we're going to receive more than we have ever given. This is an article of faith. It might call it prosperity consciousness. And it's very difficult to trust spiritual teaching that if you want something, you need to give it away first. It's counterintuitive because we're trained to believe in the lack of abundance in the West. Not true in certain countries. Africa is quite liberated in this respect, for example. They will not typically be able to enjoy some luxurious food unless they share it with their friends. And certain communities are like that. They naturally share. And we have to learn that again if we've forgotten that. If you find yourself experiencing poverty consciousness, an expectation of need, the belief that you have to work hard to put food on the table and it's always going to be harsh, life is just rough, that it's so easy to believe that that's somebody else's fault. That the greedy people in the world are at fault here. And on the one level, on the outer level, yes, perhaps they are. But on the inner level, that's just not true. If you experience poverty consciousness, then that needs to be healed. That's your problem. And you need to practice prosperity consciousness. In other words, behave as though you're rich in order to be rich. That's a difficult secret, but it's well worth learning.